What's up, guys? Welcome back to Malt Mondays. This week we're taking a look at the Balvenie, a sweet toast of American oak.
In Scotland, would you accidentally drive up to Talisker?
So the Sweet Toast of American Oak first came out a couple years ago, and it's Kelsey McKenchie's first foray into becoming malt master at the Balvenie. Now, she's still under David Stewart's tutelage, but she's in training to take over for him in the next few years. And so this is kind of her first release that has her name on it, that's really kind of her brainchild. And this is the first part of Balvenie's new story series. So Balvenie, for a while, they would come out with some limited editions here and there, but they didn't really have like a consistent annual release of that, the way like maybe the Glenmorangie Private Collection does, where it's always very apparent that it's part of this ongoing experimental series. And so what Balvenie's done is they've come out with the story collections. So this is story number 1. And then other stories in the collection include A Week of Peat, The Edge of Burnhead Wood, and The Day of Dark Barley. There's also now a new release just about to come out that is the second Red Rose. So the story here is that Kelsey wanted to create a fruitier, more richly flavored, and sweeter Balvenie. So she took the traditional 12-year-old ex-bourbon barrel Balvenie, and she put it into virgin oak barrels. Now, virgin oak isn't particularly common in Scotch whiskey. It's not unheard of, but she took it a step further by taking these virgin oak barrels and toasting them. Now, almost all barrels used in the whiskey making process have some level of toast or char on the inside, but what really separates the difference between toast and char is that with char, you get that nice like alligator skin on the inside that really caramelizes the inside of that barrel, and it increases the surface area of the wood as the wood burns and cracks. You get more surface area, and so the whiskey penetrates more quickly, and it's a more intense process. Now, I don't know what level of toast Balvenie's using here. They call it a deep toast. So it's possible that it's actually borderline charred, but from what I understand, it is a somewhat different process, and they're not actually burning the inside of the wood with fire the way they would with the char. So how does that toasting work out? Well, first of all, we have 43% ABV, which is nice to see. Could always be a little higher than that, but it's better than 80 proof. And we do have a nice color here. Not so dark that I suspect that they're adding that much artificial coloring, but it is darker than the standard 12-year-old. I would suspect that based on the fact that they're using that secondary fresh cask, that this is pretty much all natural color, and that if they are using the artificial coloring, it really is for consistency and not to make it look darker. Now, on the aroma, as expected, you get much more oak influence. There's a lot more spice there. It's kind of present like ginger, and it's overall much more intense aroma than you get on the standard 12-year-old single barrel. This also appears to be a little more malt forward on the aroma, which I'm not really sure why that would be the case, other than I'm guessing that some of that heavier oak influence and dryness is kind of accentuating the maltiness here. From an aroma perspective, I really don't see the sweetness and the fruitiness that they were trying to get here. I mean, there's a really subtle hint of citrus, but it's not that much. All right, so let's see how it tastes. Much richer than your standard Balvenie. I get the sweetness now. It's right up front. It's a much thicker mouthfeel than you normally get with Balvenie. It's very full-bodied. Honey comes through. That citrus is turning into like orange, which is very typical for Balvenie, that honey and orange kind of character. And then on the finish, it definitely goes to dry. That spiciness, the little bit of ginger or cinnamon kind of comes back. I do get just the subtlest bit of coconut, which for me kind of kills my enjoyment of this whiskey. I just particularly don't really like coconut. And there's definitely more vanilla here than you would get with your standard Balvenie. So for me, this is kind of hard because I don't think this is as good of a whiskey as the standard 12-year-old single barrel Balvenie. I think that's just a more elegant whiskey. I think it's better put together. But what I will say is that I think the Toast of American Oak is more interesting. And I think it's definitely more interesting than the 12-year-old Doublewood. I think really this comes down to either you prefer a more boldly, richly flavored whiskey. And if you're in that camp, you may not have enjoyed Balvenies in the past. Or I think if you're someone who's looking for a more interesting Balvenie or a more unique Balvenie, I think this is worth trying. So if you like this video, please give it a thumbs up and subscribe to my channel. Let me know down in the comments below what you think of the Toast of American Oak if you've had it. I'm always interested to hear your feedback, and consider going over to patreon.com to support me at Malt Mondays. Thanks for watching, guys, and until next time, cheers.